Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland says she's competing to replace Justin Trudeau. Her campaign officially launches Sunday and includes scrapping the carbon tax. Plus, Trudeau criticizes Alberta Premier Danielle Smith for breaking what he calls Team Canada in the face of Trump's tariffs. And first ever footage with sound of a meteorite hitting Earth captured by a PEI resident. Thanks so much for joining us. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland says she'll be competing to replace Justin Trudeau as Liberal leader and Prime Minister. The Toronto MP, originally from Peace River in northwestern Alberta, says on social media that she's running to, quote, fight for Canada. Freeland says her campaign's official launch will be on Sunday. One of her main policy planks is rumored to be scrapping the carbon tax. Freeland had previously defended the controversial tax during her time in Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet. In a post shared on X on Wednesday, Freeland addressed registered Liberals, saying she is, quote, grateful for the chance to hear from you and listen to your ideas, and that she will have much more to say very soon. Well, after months of speculation about his future, former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney launched his campaign to replace Justin Trudeau as Liberal leader on Thursday. He kicked off his leadership bid in Edmonton, where he grew up, with a promise to build the fastest growing economy in the G7. And if he's elected, he adds, it's no time for politics as usual.
The system, it's not working as it should. And it's not working as it could. People are anxious. No wonder. Too many are falling behind. Too many young people can't afford a home. Too many people can't find a doctor. And then we're living through the two biggest technological revolutions since they split the atom. And our climate is changing in ways that threatens livelihoods from Fort Mac to Fort Smith. And then on top of that, as George just mentioned, in just 4 days, the United States will swear in Donald Trump as their 47th president, a man who threatens economic force on his closest, most steadfast allies, including Canada. No.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau slammed Alberta Premier Danielle Smith for breaking with Team Canada. He says all the country's premiers, except for Smith, chose to put Canada first when it comes to the country's response to Donald Trump's threat to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. Smith refused to sign a joint statement with the other 12 premiers, saying she can't agree to the federal government's response to Trump if Alberta energy exports could be part of that.
I would actually like to point out to Danielle Smith that Canadians know the importance of standing up for each other. That's why Canadian taxpayers bought the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion, TMX, to be able to get Albertan oil to new markets. That was an investment that all Canadians made, that the Alberta government is making billions of dollars off of. That's an example of all Canadians standing up for Alberta and getting it done.
Federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he will reverse an increase on the capital gains tax introduced last June if his party forms the next government. He says the Liberal government's changes in the capital gains tax changes have stunted job creation while funding handouts to large businesses and corporations. Poilievre says the Trudeau Liberals have hamstrung Canada's ability to negotiate with incoming U.S. President Donald Trump on his tariff threat, noting the lack of pipelines and energy plants that have forced Canadian energy exports to rely heavy on the United States.
Common sense conservatives are announcing today that under a Pierre Poilievre-led government, I will axe the Liberal jobs tax and reverse the capital gains hike that Chrystia Freeland announced last spring. We will bring down taxes. In fact, I will bring in, it's going to be called the Bring It Home tax cut. It will reduce taxes on work, investment, making stuff, building homes, and energy, so that we can bring home more powerful paychecks and production to Canada. And now more than ever, we need it. President Trump has said he wants to tariff our country. We cannot afford economically destructive liberal taxes that will drive even more business and jobs out of our country. We need to stand strong.
We'll be right back with more news from Forum Daily West. Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court has unanimously upheld the ban signed into law last spring by President Joe Biden. The legislation requires TikTok's parent company ByteDance to sell the social media platform or face a ban that is scheduled to be implemented this Sunday, January 19th. Some U.S. TikTok users are flocking to the Chinese social media app RedNote in protest of the looming ban. Like TikTok, RedNote combines e-commerce and short-form videos.
Hi, just on here to introduce myself. My name is Katie, and I have a small farm in Oklahoma. And if it means people are gonna not go to RedNote, I say that's their freedom and their right, just like it should be their freedom and their right to use TikTok in the first place. And I think we want to prove that to the government. Like, we should have the right to go to all of these apps, and we should have the free speech in America to do this.
Here in southern Alberta, Lethbridge Mayor Blaine Higgin delivered his annual State of the City address in front of the Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce on Thursday morning. Higgin recapped the previous year by highlighting the city's top priorities, including water and wastewater management, the Lethbridge and District exhibition, public safety, housing, and physician recruitment. As municipal elections loom later in the year, the mayor and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce say there was a lot of positivity and optimism that came from last year.
I think 2024, we were able as businesses to breathe a little bit, get our footing again. As the Brighter Together survey stated, there's positivity in our business community.
No, it was a great opportunity to sit with the Chamber of Commerce and other business leaders and to be able to share what what council has been doing and what they're focused on, and not only what they've done, but what the future looks like. It puts a smile on my face, and I'm sure many others, as we see crime severity index numbers drop down. We see, over 70 doctors coming into Lethbridge, and can we have a lot more? Absolutely, but let's find the positive, celebrate those wins, and this is what we're here to do today.
The upcoming year brings concern, however, for local business owners due to the potential tariffs by the U.S. that may be implemented as early as next week. As Lethbridge plays a vital role for commerce to and from the states, the city says they have been talking and preparing accordingly for what's happening next.
We got to watch them closely, for sure. We'll listen to other levels of government, which really will get us more details on this, but they will. We've got a lot of folks here that do trade internationally, so it's something that we definitely have to keep our eye on.
Well, we had a meeting actually yesterday, and we had 15 business owners in the room and talking specifically about some of the threats around possible tariffs, and out of that came some of the opportunities of what we need to do as a province, as a country, with interprovincial trade, the importance of strengthening that. We need to look at today, we need to prepare for tomorrow, because we don't know what tomorrow's going to look like yet, but of course in business you have to be prepared all the time for a change, and those changes can happen really fast.
Hey, check out this footage. This is what's believed to be the first ever footage with sound of a meteorite hitting Earth. It was captured on the home security camera of a Prince Edward Island resident. It's also the first reported and confirmed space rock to fall in the Maritimes. Chris Hurd, the University of Alberta's meteorite collection curator, confirms the object that hit the walkway in July of 2024 was, in fact, a meteorite. Pretty cool. Restaurant industry members are calling on Ottawa to make the federal GST holiday a permanent one. Chief Inspired Group of Restaurants CEO Bill Pratt says customers have not only been spending more since the tax break started last month, but they're also dining out more often. Meantime, Restaurants Canada CEO Kelly Higginson says the change in those customer behaviors has been welcome, especially in January, a month that's usually slow for the restaurant industry. There are fears that the trend could shift when the tax break ends on February 15th. The Alberta Energy Regulator has concluded a hearing on the Grassy Mountain coal project that has faced both support and extreme criticism. The three-day hearing took place in Calgary from Tuesday through Thursday and considered Northback Holdings' proposal to mine metallurgic coal in an abandoned site a few kilometers north of the municipality of the Crow's Nest Pass. BCN's Landon Hickok has more details.
After a second round of hearings, the decision to proceed with the Grassy Mountain coal project is at the hands of the Alberta Energy Regulator. Residents of the Crow's Nest Pass voted their support in a referendum in November that saw 71% of residents approve of the mine, saying it would bring a necessary economic boost to the area.
And it's really challenging to attract any other business here because of the infrastructure needs. We're 30 kilometers long, 1 kilometer wide in the middle of the mountains. So a company that's going to come and do business here and provide that economic growth, bring families back, fill our schools, generate jobs and business, well, they're going to come here for something they need. And what we have here is coal.
But as demonstrated in Calgary on Tuesday, a large crowd of protesters met outside the Alberta Energy Regulator office to protest its potential environmental risks. One local critic of the project who was at the hearing this week is former Lethbridge Mayor Chris Spearman. He is adamant that the project will cause severe environmental effects across southern Alberta, including in the Oldman River. He says that Northback Holdings has not been transparent on what they will do to negate the environmental effects from the project.
Well, what I observed was, based on the testimony, I don't see how the AER could approve the Grassy Mountain coal mine. Basically, there was almost no cross-examination from the Northback lawyers for any of the expert witnesses who were presented by people opposed to the mine. When it came to Northback's actual presentation, I think it was shocking how little they knew about the area and what their obligations were. They have to clean it up whether they mine it or not. They're legally obliged to do that. The next question was, what happens if the Alberta Energy Regulator says no to your coal mine? And they said, well, we'd have to consult with our parent company, but likely we would close shop and leave with resulting job losses. Basically, Northback, unless this mine proceeds, will have no intention of cleaning up the site.
With the hearings wrapped up on Thursday, the Alberta Energy Regulator now has less than 90 days to either approve or reject the Grassy Mountain coal project, in a decision that many across southern Alberta are waiting expectantly and anxiously.
I think the people in southern Alberta there were quite a lot from southern Alberta who attended, and they have the most to lose. We've developed a healthy economy and a healthy environment for the last 75 years. And those are the people whose lives will be most at risk.
From Bridge City News, I'm Landon Hickok.
Experts say U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods could accelerate a push to ramp up domestic processing of some food products. Food, Health and Consumer Products of Canada CEO Michael Graydon says our country needs a strong food manufacturing strategy to stay competitive. Graydon says a trade war could actually lead some companies to move operations to the U.S. Experts say Canada's food processing and manufacturing capacity has declined, and building it back up could help make food prices more stable. South of the border, President-elect Donald Trump is getting ready to head back into the Oval Office on Monday, but instead of being outdoors, he will take the oath of office from inside the Capitol Rotunda on Monday. It turns out the polar vortex is expected to affect the eastern seaboard as well.
President-elect Donald Trump will take the presidential oath of office from inside the Capitol Rotunda on Monday due to forecasts of intense cold weather in Washington. The president-elect says the weather forecast for Washington, D.C., with the wind chill factor, could take temperatures into severe record lows. Trump says there's an Arctic blast sweeping the country, and he doesn't want to see people hurt. But this isn't the first time in presidential history where this has occurred. The swearing-in was last moved indoors in 1985, when President Ronald Reagan began his second term. Monday's forecasts calls for the lowest Inauguration Day temperatures since that day.
Well, fasting is an important practice in the Christian faith. Coming up, Naveen Day chats with author Ronnie Floyd, who sheds light on the supernatural power of prayer and fasting. That is your Forum Daily West report. I'm Jeanette Roche. Thanks so much for watching.